You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the March 22nd, 2024 meeting of the Long Beach Building Commission. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
All right, we'll call this is the regular March meeting of the Long Beach Building Commission. We'll call the meeting to order at 1:01. How about that? Larry Wall, I'm here. Bob LeMay. Here. Anita Remiges.
Here.
Ken Klausner.
Here.
Joy Schmidt.
Here.
Pete Bibles.
Here.
Joe is not here. Joe, are you on Zoom? Is he gonna Zoom? I don't know.
No.
No? No, Joe. Carter.
Here.
Honor. Well, she's here even if she didn't say anything. First up is approval of the February meeting minutes. Honor sent those out beginning of the week. Any additions or corrections?
I'll second.
Joy?
One thing, Larry, I didn't wanna clarify that. I was at the meeting on Zoom, but I had communication problem with voice. I don't know if you guys were aware of that or not.
I don't know that we ever heard you, but I know that we saw you for a period of time and then I think it went blank, but we did a roll call. Okay. Okay,
All right.
thanks, Ken. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Commissioners report, this says December, it's actually for February, I'm sorry. I better have my granddaughter start doing this, she'll do a better job. Or not annual report, report for February, 12 permits with construction costs of $328,619, which generated fees of $3,861. I guess I also didn't put the number of calls. I have to look, but I think it was around 160 some. Just received and approved registrations. We did some inspections on the MS Fallout Falls around stop 17 where the work is going on. And 2 webinars last month. Any comments about the commissioner's report? Okay, moving on, old business. MS4. Chris, is it still, what's going on with the ordinance? Are they waiting on me to check that?
You're fine with us, and technically, April 1st is your annual report, which should be fine. They'll be in a position to have final approval. I resent, Joanna had this today, just what was previously sent. So I
Okay.
think your blessing to make sure that it is going to comply with what's being replaced in the current version of the code. You know, I'm confident, and you'll just need to know in your annual report, they're gonna get a slack when they have it, but we need to get it done.
Okay,
So the council will be okay to still consider, and it's on the agenda for the April meeting, but
okay,
it needs to be one that is final, so they need your blessing.
all right. I'll do,
It would drop in,
yes, April.
is it?
Yeah,
And ultimately, listen, there are other towns, that they want to measure yourself by what others, they're giving slack, and especially since they've thrown all of that in the laps of the towns, but I mean, it's definitely, because we're, as long, the town of Long Beach is far enough along, it is ready to be finalized, so. Eventually, it could cost in terms of the town not being eligible for CCMG grants and those kinds of things. Are you gonna be subject for this round of it? You're not. But again, I do urge that we gotta have the final blessing and then have the council be in a position, so to approve it at the April meeting.
the ordinance is actually, both Chris and I went through the entire ordinance. And we pulled out any optional stuff that we thought would be detrimental to the town. So the new ordinance is fine. I have to just go through and make sure that we're I don't know if what you call it, deleting or replacing or whatever, that there's no conflict there.
Yeah, because there's an old version that's in the code now that seems to address similar, it's just not nearly as detailed. And likely most of that came before because the county, the way that it was handled in this new version that is the suggested or canned version from Purdue, that there's just a lot more detail to it now.
So the last one we had to do the waivers.
That's
Right,
based,
that's what we did.
so there were, no, well,
Only option, there were some things that were optional, and everything that was optional, we looked at what it would mean to the town. If it was a positive thing for the town, we kept it. If it was a negative thing for the town, we took it out. And there weren't that many, but maybe 10 items.
and I just refer to any questions on this, on the commission. There's a February email that you were all copied on that copied the town council on the proposed ordinance. And then again, what requires Larry's blessing now is this current version, you're right, Pete, is take this or leave it. You have these few voluntary things that you optional. But there's also current town code provisions that this is going to replace in its entirety. And we just wanted to make sure that none of those, that we didn't need to make a separate section or that all of those provisions were accounted.
Thanks.
I actually, let's back up a little bit. After roll call, I hit Carter, but I don't know if everybody has met Carter. Carter is our new building inspector, and he's here. He's here at the end of the table. Carter's been doing a great job. He's ticketed my company 4 times. But nice to meet you.
Most of that.
Contact information, everybody.
Sure.
So what's Carter's last name?
Bravest.
Larry?
It's just like Travis, except instead of a T, it's a V.
Yeah.
And we're only.
Yes, I'll send that out today. I'll send you his email. And Carter hit the ground running. I mean, I can't even remember what your start date was, probably a month ago, maybe.
Yeah.
And he hit the ground running. And it's been very helpful to both Honor and I, as well as the chief. And Carter lives in New Buffalo, so he's close by. He's got a background in inspections with the IDOT and or NDOT, excuse me, working for some engineering firms. So this is right up his alley. And really, between Honor and Carter, you probably don't even need me anymore. So I quit. I believe it.
Promise?
Yeah. MS4, yes, the annual report is due on April 1st. I met with Reggie yesterday. The state finally put the report, rather than longhand and typing, they finally put a fillable PDF out. So I started that actually 2-3 weeks ago when I was in Florida when they sent it out. And I met with Reggie yesterday. She's going to do anything that she thinks that she can help us with over the weekend, and then we're going to send it in most likely on Monday, which is early, but it's just good that they're allowing us to do this. As you guys may remember, we had our audit this year. You're only audited once in your permit timeframe or term. MS4 permit is 5 years, so we won't have an audit until 27, I think. But we still have to do the annual reports.
So did we pass the audit?
Yes, we passed the audit. There were 2 items on the administrative end. We got 100. We were at 100%. Well, thanks to Tom too. Tom keeps all the records and the outfall inspections. And then we had a couple of things. One, our salt storage shed. had some issues, which Tom repaired right away. And he salt storage shed.
Larry,
Joy,
I have a question. On your outreach, program for the MS4, I know the, garden club is talking about putting a rain garden in for the runoff on the triangle at, Oriole and Juneway. I don't know if that could look into outreach somehow.
oh, absolutely. And what that does, Joy, is it also helps us in our annual report. Because it's not just the public outreach, but it's also what are we doing, those types of things. That's fantastic. I'll make a note of it on the annual report, and that will help us
Okay, good. Thank you.
to stay on the good side of everybody.
Juneway.
The last thing on, well, two more things on the MS4. We had, Elkhart County published a BMP manual, or a best management practice manual. And because it was done with public money, we were able to take that, and I got it, and it took us a year to get it in digital format. I passed it on to Honor, and she just substituted the town of Long Beach for everything in there, which was a challenge, but we're going to post that to our website. I'm sure all of you will read it in detail and understand all of it. But that's another item that is not necessarily required, but it's a big feather in our cap with the audit people. Last thing under MS4 is, I think I mentioned this prior, the state and EPA are now requiring, or FEMA, pardon me, are now requiring that the floodplain manager, which is me, in every, not just the town of Long Beach, but in every municipality has to become what's called a CFM, or a certified floodplain manager. I'm hoping that I can, we can find, I talked to Reggie about it yesterday. I'm hoping to be able to find a 2 or 3 day class that I could take somewhere and just get it all knocked out at once. And then that has to be done by January of 2025. So I think we'll be able to do that. Coastal resiliency groups, there's really,
I'm certified everything in the school representative. You and I have talked a little bit about this concept of every community having just doesn't workable for people. And we keep that provision safe for a while or something. I think we need to get together with other communities and say, can we somehow pool of resources? Because you spend a lot of time getting up to speed on this. And if something happens now, or you quit because the 2 people are filling in now, what are we going to do? We have to go somebody. So, I mean, like Trail Creek must have to have them. I don't know if, what do you call it?
Reggie? Well, yes, Pete, they do, Michiana Shores, Potawatomi Park, Trail Creek. Michigan City, all of those, everybody has to have one. When the state took it away from the county, and now everybody, it has to have their own MS4.
I understand what they've done.
I think
it's put a burden, maybe unacceptable burden on the individual communities.
Well, that's what's eventually something's going to give, because I can assure you, based on my involvement in other communities, and then much like Larry, learning way more than I ever anticipated about this after the way they disbanded and the county used to handle it and everybody would pool, is you're way ahead of many communities. There are several surrounding communities that aren't even as close to where you are, and the state is making exceptions, and as long as they're demonstrating they're making progress. But at some point, I don't know how some of these communities are going to afford it. And it also shows not to, to Larry's horn, but it also shows what a bargain, because the choice is hiring engineers or experienced people like Reggie, who, again, they're qualified, but they're not cheap. So that's what communities otherwise are faced with, is they don't.
Cheap.
I'm saying you're a bargain. The town should be appreciative of, not everybody has somebody who has gone through that training or done those things, and I don't know how how communities are gonna afford it at all to be in compliance.
So how could we get these communities together and say, let's hire these, do it for all of us?
That's been talked about. We've had meetings, actually, we had one here, we're gonna have another one in April. If I can get it, or June, if I get it approved with Chris, not Chris, Mark. It's called NICEWAG, Northern Indiana Stormwater, Group. And Bob was involved in this early on. So we met with, I think, a representative of all those communities, Trail Creek, Pot Park, Michiana, us. I don't know if anybody else was there. So, it's a very valid point, and and Chris knows, because Chris and I have talked a lot about it, about the, other towns. I've actually been asked by other towns if I would help them, do some of the MS4 stuff, not the floodplain stuff yet. And I had to decline,
Sure.
just because I have a real job, I mean, I didn't mean it that way, but I can't spread myself that thin. So, that's kind of what I think the thrust is gonna have to be. All these little towns, we're fortunate in the town of Long Beach that we're able to do it. Tom is a fantastic guy. He does a lot, 90% of the inspections and the other things, Tom does those. And he maintains the drains and whatever. But, these other towns, and Reggie just said yesterday, they're not even responding to her. So I don't know what happens. Chris may know because he's involved in other towns. I don't know what happens with Pot Park, Michiana, whatever. When April 1st comes, they have to have a report done. And
Well, I think in some of these other towns, for instance, Trail Creek, they're one of those that it's a work in progress. They've hired Global, and Shem and his group is qualified, and so there are professionals out there. Towns are just at different stages. So that the April 1st is a soft, hard deadline. It's more applicable, I know it sounds backwards, to Long Beach because you're further along in the process. But what the state has shown, just like initially a year plus back for you, there were really a lot of municipalities were supposed to be in compliance long ago. They're working with towns as long as they're showing progress. So for instance, Trail Creek, they've retained, this is the second year they've retained Global, but they're still in the process. And they will not be in compliance, but they don't have the same deadlines, as they're not going to meet that.
So would it be worthwhile to ask Mark to call together these different communities and see what their level of interest is and develop a pool resource here? Because we're putting ourselves out on them. We may be ahead of it now, but we could easily be behind them.
I doubt that you will, but it's certainly worth, I do believe, my recollection was that there were some early discussions with Michigan City when the county MS4 went by the wayside, and that was cost prohibitive. So that's why everybody went their own separate ways. I do believe there's supposed to still be some money with the county that is supposed to be dispersed as well. That's being held that will offset that. I doubt that the town of Long Beach is ever going to be behind these others, because again, it's not that the coffers are endless, but I foresee that you guys are going to continue to be at the forefront, but it's still costly. I don't, even as proactive and prepared as you have been, and you have somebody certified in all these, I don't know how you continue with the cost. And then you look at some of the bigger going to operation, they're pretty organized and they have all of their things there to comply and do all, which is it's burdensome.
It just sounds too, Pete, like Larry would be, if we got these communities together and we're ahead of them, then they'd again be leaning on Larry to say, wait, you guys are way ahead. And you've already said, I don't have time for that. So.
I'll send you there, or Shem, or somebody, why couldn't we get them to support all the communities and everybody contributes something to what it costs? I mean,
My impression from that meeting is that a lot of the smaller communities have chosen to put their head in the sand.
Yes.
Basically, they've said, we can't afford that, so we're gonna not do anything and see what happens.
And what's gonna happen eventually, right, is as funds go, that's as they try to weed out for grant money, CCMG things, maybe other federal funds, right? That's where the gonna feel the hurt is when they go apply and somebody decides to start weeding out that one. That's gonna be an easier way. For instance, that's just one.
Right, and that was the threat with us, which is why I said I would do it, because
I appreciate all the time.
no, I understand where you're going, and that each municipality, it's actually, Joy, it was Bob, now it's Joy. Joy, the president, the highest elected official in the town, or whatever municipality you call it. The highest elected official is called the MS4 operator. And then they don't have to be certified, but then the MS4 coordinator, which is me, has to be certified. And then Tom, as the street superintendent operator, I don't have to do that because we have Tom. So Tom does all the inspections. Tom keeps the salt piles clean and does that type of stuff. And that's what they inspect at the audit. They look at all of our records, make sure that our office, Honor, myself, now Carter, that we've done the inspections that are proper. We have backup. I have binders that I put all the inspections in. Tom has a binder. So we're covered. The problem, I think, in the other towns that you're talking about, and Chris probably can tell you more about, especially Trail Creek, Michiana Shores and Pop Park, they don't have us. They don't have a board. I mean, they have a board, but they don't have employees that can do this stuff. So as Chris said, I think the biggest thing for the town of Long Beach losing would be that, what do they whatever they call them? CCMG. That's when we get how much in paving, $600,000-700,000.
It just depends on the project, but it's a 3 to 1 house, right? They do 75%.
Right. So we, when they asked, or when Bob or whoever asked me to come to the meeting, the threat was, if we don't do this, we may lose that. So as you said, and Chris has said, we're ahead of the game. This responsibility right now is shared between myself and Tom. The certified floodplain manager, which is, I think, what your original initial question was. I've been the floodplain coordinator here, or manager, I don't know what it's really called, since I started as the building commissioner. And, we're pretty good. Anytime anything is done along the golf course or anything we have 3 floodplain areas in town. Hidden Shores is almost all in floodplain. Everything on the north side of Lakeshore Drive, a little bit of Glendale Way, is in the floodplain. So we watch those. Remember when the water was up, Pete, we had those people coming in, floodplain grade 579 or 577. So we watched that. Right now, we don't have much. There was an issue with the Captain's Walk project, but they cleared that up before they came in. So the only change is that I go to all the webinars that they have. They have one once a month. And now they're just saying, you have to become a certified, whatever it is. I'm sure it's going to cost $1,000 to go to these 2 or 3 day classes and, pass the test, and then I'll be good for a number of years. But yeah, if something happens to me or whatever, the town is going to have to hire somebody else.
Well, and just to last point to Pete's, just to get off center, I am working with Shem and Trail Creek, so I can at least have that, and Haas is their regular engineer as well, so that I could have conversations with how they would envision, and you could talk to Reggie about the same, because I think the county has retained her to do what your role is, right? Plus they have some professionals in place or appointed offices, so I can at least put that conversation piece out there, Pete, to see how they would envision and whether they're involved in other little consortiums of towns or municipalities that are already doing that, if any.
Yeah, just to be clear, I'm amazed and extremely happy about what Larry's county there to do it. I'm concerned about the future. Larry decides he doesn't want to do this. what do we do? And what's our penalties? And we plan, you know, with the state, we play fast and loose, everything's fine until it isn't. And, I think all over ahead, well, ahead of the game, right now, ahead of the other communities. We can quickly fall behind, and all it takes is one situation like problem on the seawall, on the beach, and we need some money, we need to do this, and we're out of compliance with that. And, you know, we've seen it with the audits, with the sort of audits for the clerk, what that can mean. So I think it could be very worthwhile if you can get with Trail Creek and I think ask Mark to see if the other communities are interested in getting a full resource here. And not for the present, but for the future. And it sounds like everybody's in the same boat.
They are. Okay, next up, coastal resiliency groups, there's really nothing to report. Joy knows that we're gonna work with them. The grants are gonna be awarded in July.
Larry,
Picture, I don't know.
after talking to Global, we're not moving forward on that because we really think they wanted some kind of guarantee that it would never be washed away. And I don't think we can do that. So we sort of just backed out of that.
We have our meeting, I think, the second week in April, and I'm gonna talk to her and find out if we can, since the basic grant was already done. I'm gonna talk to her and find out. Certainly, we're not, and I'm not speaking for the park department, but I don't think you're interested in spending another, I don't know how much money you paid to Shem to do the grant, but
Yeah, we paid like 15,000 to do the grants and that
Right,
they want
yeah.
us to do another 50,000 of engineering before they even tell us if there's
yeah,
money.
I don't think that's necessary, and I'll find out at the board meeting what she has to say, and then maybe we can get on for next year.
Okay, thank you.
Building department software, we will resume training with Carter on the second week in April. The payment processing that we thought was good through Payrock, we sent to the town council. They sent it to Meg. Meg went to Horizon Bank, and what we found out was it was almost like a hose job. So we're gonna implement the software still, and everything is gonna be done just the way it is now. Either come in and pay cash or check to Deanna or Honor. And I think the town is going to work on, I'm not involved in it, but I think that's the thrust, so that the town could then work with Horizon Bank and take credit cards or debit cards for any town payment. And if that happens, we'll do that online with our stuff.
Is there any system that's been implemented in any other communities around here?
You know, Mark told us, I don't know if it was in a council meeting or not, Chris might remember, but the city, I think it was just in an email, he said the city of Michigan City, or at least the police department, used to take payments, and I think he said it was through Horizon Bank. So I expect that's probably what's gonna happen with the town.
Well, is he referring to payment systems or
Yeah.
building department? Yeah, the county does it. You can go into the county and then that fee, that's where you have a choice, right? Anything that's with the state of Indiana, same way that there's a difference in fee. So if you pay by credit card, that fee gets passed along. So there are plenty that do that.
And what we found out with this Payrock was the applicant paid the fee, but at the end of the month, there was another 1% or something that we had to pay to be using the service. It just, when somebody sat down that was in that business, it was just bad. It was bad for everybody. So we just said, forget it. We can implement the software. We can take cash. We can take checks. I still can't believe that people pay it with cash, but they do. And then that will be handled through the clerk's office.
Yeah. Who then supports the software? I mean,
iWorks does. iWorks, that's who we got it from.
can make it all.
This is IWORQ. That's IWORX or K. We're happy with the software. We just want to get it with our, we stopped when we had a vacancy and now we're going to start it back up. I think we we meet, Honor and Carter and I, before the meetings, usually a few days before, so, we got to schedule back. We're gonna start up in the second week in April. I'm hoping that by, into June, we'll be able to start the switch. And, it's gonna be a rocky road for a while. There'll be a congruent, or, we'll be doing both, some paper, some online. But I think it's gonna go well. You know what? The Skiats are here, so why don't we move to that instead of going through these other ones first? That's number 12. So, here's where we're at with that. This is the one on, Oakenwall and Larchmont on the corner. So originally, just to give everybody a background, so it's the Knott House. I don't know if everybody remembers that. They're gonna tear the house down, put a new house up, but there was a guest house. So the guest house, because of our ordinances, you can't have 2 dwelling units on one property. So the proposal, in talking with the Skiats and, Heidi Hornaday, we met, I don't know, do we meet in person? I can't even remember. It's been so many times, but just on the phone. And then I met with Heidi several times, either, mostly on the phone or through email. So Heidi redesigned it. She took the encroachment off of the west side, which I believe is a lean-to or a shed type structure. So she took that off, and instead of having, living space in that guest house, they're gonna put an overhead door and it would be a garage. So it's no longer a second dwelling space. There still is one encroachment left, which is I'm gonna call it south, but at the back side of the garage, it encroaches into the rear setback. So everything on what's proposed meets all of our ordinances, except the encroachment into the rear setback. That's the only thing that is, I'm gonna say, I guess, undecided.
How much can the quote do?
I forgot, you guys don't, do you have the drawings?
It's existing.
That's existing.
So it's whatever it is, it's grandfathered.
Well, I think that that's true. I think that because the building is existing,
If it's a new build, how can anything be grandfathered?
What's that?
If it's a new build, how can anything be grandfathered?
It's
I
not a
mean,
new building.
it's a new build. They're tearing down the house and building a bigger house.
No, the shed is what we're talking about.
I know, but as soon as it becomes a new build, there's nothing, how can you grandfather anything?
Well-
Existing, it's not,
But-
it's an office that principal residence inside, whether it's on your house or your structure, and the principal residence is being torn down and new is put in.
So with a new build, we can either, how can we approve? I mean, I think a garage would be fine there, but I don't see how we can approve it at our level because it's in the setback.
I think that you have, obviously they're working hard to be creative here. I think that based on former plans and the way that the non-conforming statutes are, or the ordinances are, current dwelling or buildings could be grandfathered in based on encroachments or those. I think that we do have to be clear. The nuance here is, if you're inclined, is that it's not now 2 dwelling houses. So I agree with you, and that was my opinion on previous plans, is you tear down the principal structure, and one of the issues that they were facing is you only have 1 dwelling structure allowed without a variance on this lot. Well, now they're saying we don't have 2 dwelling structures, we have 1. So if they torn that down, the new house has to comply in all respects, right? There's nothing else. But this building existing as it is, if it were going to be used as a house, then that's the house, short of having the variance, right? By virtue of having this building existing and being converted, I do think that you're going to be allowed to have that structure because it exists already under those.
It's up on I put it up on the screen here. This, just to refresh everybody's memory here. So the dark section here, where my mouse is, that's the existing house. The dark lines are the new house. This where down here is where it says guest house. So see the dashed line here? Underneath where it says house, that's the 20-foot rear setback. It's not dimensioned, but I'm gonna say it's, when you look at the lot, she's got 20 foot there, maybe it's 5 foot into the setback. The rear setback. So that's everything else meets our ordinances. Anything that we asked, it had been corrected. So the discussion today is whether or not we can approve the plan as submitted with the encroachment on the rear setback.
I agree with you, Ryan. This is a new structure. Everything must conform. If not, if we don't follow that, what's the next thing that's gonna come up? So you got a shed in house that's 3 feet, or some other portion of it is not in compliance. I mean, the goal and the direction of this department is to say, you follow the rules. If there's an exception, it goes to the what do they call it, the appeals? BZA, right? It's not our purview to allow these types of things. Yeah. I mean, I think we had the same problem with the one bill or Mary Van on the end.
Oh, and we had a 15 corner of Mary Ben, and
we had a 15-foot access, and we got all tied up in our shoulders with that.
okay.
So I want you to consider section 154, 130. It's non-conforming buildings and structures. And that provision, and again, I'm not advocating, I'm trying to help you make an informed decision, because you're right, and this is a little bit of a hybrid of previous. So we just had one before the BZA where they tore everything down, right? And now they haven't built it and they've gotten their variance, but they tore everything down, and the thought was, listen, that's a new canvas, right? You need to comply or get a variance. In this instance, though, it's a matter of what you classify, because under 130, where a lawful building or structure exists that they couldn't build now, it's allowed to continue as long as they're not increasing it. And the issue is, are they doing that? It's not a new, and again, it's a nuance from the previous plan because they had 2 dwelling structures. This now isn't. This structure exists on the property. It could not be built now without a variance because it encroaches. They are allowed to have a garage as part of their plans.
But that would make it a new building. I mean, right now it's a dwelling and they're gonna change it to a different kind of building. So they're gonna have to tear that down and make a new building.
If they're tearing that down, right? What the difference is converting it.
That's the garage.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Chris, is there anything in the ordinances that says if you tear down a primary structure, all your grandfathering is forfeited? I don't believe there is there?
No,
I've never
has
seen
more to do with non-conformances. So, for instance, and I do think this is a nuance, this is them trying hard to be creative and also being respectful of the process. There isn't anything, what your code says is tearing down non-conformances, and that is the goal. I think, Joy, you pointed that out. The goal of non-conforming statutes are to eventually get rid of them all and have everybody in compliance, right? That is the goal. So, you have another applicant here who's doing that, or to get a variance. in this instance, the issue, and there isn't anything that addresses it specifically, is are they allowed to convert that? What you have is a non-conforming structure on that. Could they still build a house and this isn't a dwelling? Screw you. You could decide. They have to get a variance to do that, and they can decide if they want to appeal your decision to the BZA, or they could go to the BZA and ask for a variance. They have two avenues based on whatever your decision is. But yeah, under 154, 130, it deals with non-conforming buildings and structures. Moving buildings, it addresses that. It's, you can't enlarge or alter in any way where it increases the non-conforming. But it may be altered to decrease non-conforming. So there is an argument to be made that they are decreasing non-conformities on that property by building a new home and not having two dwelling houses. They are kosher, that is, my opinion to you is, if you were inclined to go down that route, I think you would support, they're actually decreasing non-conformity with what they're proposing to do, because they have two dwellings right now. Had they, I don't know, honestly, if they've torn down the other one yet.
No.
But they're decreasing by virtue of having a garage, they're decreasing non-conformance. That's one argument. The other one is under 130, a non-conforming structure is allowed to be in place as long as it's not being increased. And they couldn't build that. They couldn't build another structure without a variance because it's encroaching.
Anita?
I appreciate, Chris's information. I guess if the encroachment is taken care of, I'm torn between wanting to enforce what we have, I mean, that we can't have the different units and the dwelling, but it seems to me that if the second dwelling is torn down, the garage is torn down, and they're simply building a new garage, I tend to be leaning that way.
Okay, Ken?
Yeah, based on Larry's input from the actual ordinances, the owner has done whatever they could to be in conformance all the way around. And I think the section 130 that Chris brought up, I think that covers our part of it as far as allowing an existing structure that's not conforming if they are changing the building style. They're not changing the footprint at all. They're merely going to put a garage door in there and set it up as a garage. So I think we're covered all the way around, and I personally would push to go ahead with it and okay it if that's doable at our level. I see Joy's concern and the other concerns, but it appears to me that what they've done so far is brought all their new proposals into alignment with conformance. This just happens to be a little stickler there, and I think we're covered. So by changing the use of the building from a residence to a dwelling to a garage, I think we're covered and safe to go along with.
I had just another quick question. I'm not sure if Rich Ronsky is on Zoom or not, but he owns that wooded area there and the house. So I'm not sure what input he would have. He mentioned he would be on Zoom, but I just want to be sure that there's nothing that is encroaching on his property.
So what I see on Zoom is myself, which I do because we can put stuff on the screen. Mike Coffey, Marilyn Jones, everybody knows Marilyn, and then Michael Cataldo. Is anybody else out on Zoom?
All right.
And Larry is, I don't know if that's something that I caught out of periphery, so I don't know if I somewhat misspoke or there's clarification, but I don't know if I can help you as you.
Yeah. Yeah, come on up.
Yeah, just clarifying.
You have to tell us your name.
I'm sorry, Nick Skiat, owner of the property. Nice to meet everybody. 2 points to clarify. There are 3 structures on the property right now. The one, I believe it's on Larchmont. Definitely a problem, definitely encroaching. I think it's literally on the street. That's gone, that's coming out of here. And then to clarify the point that you made about, I'm just gonna refer to it as the structure behind the house, just to avoid what we're now calling the garage. We're not making any modifications to that. We're not tearing it down and building a new building. The modification is putting the door on the side. So we're not touching the footprint. We're just modifying, putting the door on the side, just to clarify.
Thanks.
And then one of the ordinances that we were given, and obviously this was probably bad advice, is that existing buildings were a 10-foot setback, not the 20. And I think that was, that you Heidi.
Yeah,
clarified.
When Heidi sent that to me, I corrected her. That's an accessory building. Then there's in some of our ordinances are, I don't know if conflicting is the right, some overlap others, but a garage specifically has to conform to the standard setbacks. An accessory building, meaning a shed, can be within 10 feet of the rear property line.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Sure. You guys,
Is it that easy?
I guess that there's a couple of things up here. So,
Can I just had a quick question. So you're just putting a garage door on that shed that used to be a work area on studio?
Correct. Yeah, we're not,
So you're not fixing it at all? It's just you're gonna put a door on it somewhere?
well, we will make it look a little bit nicer than it is right now, but we're not taking it down, no.
Oh, oh.
So that was, again, that was from the previous 2 meetings, we've been trying to work within the confines of what have been shared with us. And we were quite sure that this would meet everybody's concerns that were raised before. And obviously, we're here to answer questions that we've got. We've been working on this with our builder and our architect for quite a few months.
And then there's a driveway off Larchmont. Is that how you get in there? Garage?
No,
I'm like total, okay.
not it would be a garage for like a golf cart. So like a golf cart garage where that workshop is now.
Okay.
Is the toilet removed and second be installed?
originally, when it was gonna be the guest house still, it was going to be hooked up to the septic system, which is right here. And then with
Currently has a toilet.
oh, it does?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And it's in the septic system. So if we get past phase 1, we're gonna say that has to be de-installed.
My garage is.
I can tell you that the water is currently inoperable, so the water's not connected.
Right,
No, we'll get disconnected.
Understood.
okay, thanks. Thank you. So again, I'm just gonna run through the whole thing. So everything meets the current zoning except for what they're gonna turn into a garage. And I can't remember if this was my discussion with Abby or with Heidi, or maybe both. You're gonna go in and take everything out of all the plumbing, the toilets, whatever's in there now. I don't know if there's a kitchen in there or whatever, so all that's coming out. And then, okay, so then they're gonna, put a garage door in it and re-side it. I don't know if there's windows going in or whatever. So, to make it match the new house. And I mean, that's it. So the discussion here has been, which everybody's had input, except for Bob, I'll ask you in a second, is to what we want to do. I've talked to Abby and I've talked to Heidi. And what I said was, there's 3 options for us. I mean, for Abby, for the Skians, is we come in today and make the presentation, and it could be voted down. We come in today and make the presentation, and it could be accepted. If it was voted down, it would be, it could be taken to, there's 2 options if it was to be voted down. You could take it to the BZA and ask for a variance for, I would we talked, I would go in and ask for a variance for whatever they want. And then see what the BZA has to say, you know, whether you want to keep it a guest house, whether you want to keep it a garage, whatever. And then, the last option was to just remove it from the proposal, remove the guest house. And, you know, those were the three things that I thought were the only avenues that were open. So from the building department standpoint, you know, we're black and white. We can, and I don't even know if you guys understand this. We can approve things that meet the rules, things that don't meet the rules, we can't approve. So I think the discussion, as Joy started out with, does this have to follow the new rules? And then everybody has an opinion and then we vote. I guess that's what we're at, except for Bob.
And one more thing before you do that, just to consider, you're allowed to put conditions. So you're allowed to clarify, right? And what you're considering is what has been proposed. So you're allowed to make sure, I mean, they've represented that they're going to remove those things, and if that's in the plans, great, then that's implied in your approvals, but you can make sure that it's truly, I mean, from what was described today, it really sounds like glorified shed, even more so than a garage, if no cars are going in there, but that's a nuance, it doesn't matter to me. But you can put conditions on there, and you don't have to. If you find that this isn't under your purview, you know, I've sent everybody the code, you can decide whether that applies or not.
Yeah, I agree with Ken. I don't think there's an existing ordinance that says you can't do what you want to do. If this gets turned down at this level, I would strongly suggest that you go to BZA. Last month, BZA approved a variance that I think was way more egregious than what you guys are asking for. And I have no doubt that they would probably approve it. But, well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know that they'll approve it. I'm just want to vote on the BZA. But to me, what you want to do is not against ordinances.
Okay.
One other thing, Larry, to the point of your intended use is just to store a golf cart within the building, like I said earlier, a golf cart shed. It almost a drive and shed, garage is up, I drive out, you know, access, and
I think it's,
then you get into more ground coverage, more driveway and so forth, so
I'll have to look down.
by calling the golf cart shed, think everybody be covered and everybody be happy with that, and if that's truly your intended purpose, we're not, I personally not beyond, opinion that.
It is big for a golf cart. It's a big shed.
Everybody's got a
I think it's like a 16-foot.
I think just one. I've only seen them.
Yeah, it's just one single door. 16-foot. Okay, well, at some point we have to, is anybody else, Joy, anything else?
I still think it's probably all fine, but I don't feel like we can approve it all.
Okay, so, without taking a vote, I don't know what
It's something to make both.
right, but I just want to make sure that we're doing this right. If, the way I see this, I think it's going to be tied. And we can do that, but I don't know what's best for the skiats. Is it best for us to,
It's like before, it's something that, I mean, they know the options by now, so.
Yeah, we've talked.
At some point, it's probably best that you, unless they withdraw something based on what it's best that some kind of decision is made, because then they do have options. They could appeal your decision and you have a lot of discretion, so whether they do or don't, but at least that lets them know where you're headed.
Okay.
They could appeal the decision of council or commission if they don't agree with it. They could apply for a variance. So that part of it, I can't really advise them.
And just to advise you, if it is a tie, Joe says no to everything.
I think they already knew that. So, all right, well, I think the best thing to do is just to have a motion to approve. Can I make a motion? I don't even know. Can I do that?
Well, you already have.
Oh,
I have a motion to approve the golf shed.
I'll second it.
Make sure that this just includes the golf shed and nothing else.
Okay.
And how do we guarantee, I mean, I suppose it's up to Carter, right, to make sure that that it's taken care of, the things that we've asked for, that it's just a shed, that it isn't, even a play area or, I don't.
Well,
You mean
then we go to what
anything.
Chris has suggested,
Right.
which we've done in the past, is we put conditions on the permit, that it's only X, Y, Z, that you can't do this, you do that, I think. And right, wrong, or indifferent, their intention is to not leave it the way it is, but to put, I can't remember, there's windows in it, put new siding, put new roof on it, to make it look good, so.
The door and the siding and.
Well, no, that would all be part of this permit. So what they're asking us for is to do the complete job.
Yeah.
This wouldn't be a separate permit for, unless we want to tell them that you're gonna have to come back with a separate permit, and have the specifications or whatever, but I don't know that that's necessary.
The motion is to approve the plan, including the golf shed. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes,
Let's not call it a shed.
Let's call it the garage. Yeah.
okay.
Let's call it the existing non-conforming structure, right?
I'm just not at that garage.
Yes, I agree with you.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
No,
Okay, so, that's what I meant. I don't know, I don't know what happened, so,
Well, nothing happened, I mean, it sits there, it wasn't approved, and they can decide if it could be held over, and they can decide, and the difference is that they go ask for a variance. They can swing for the fences and ask for everything, right? We want two houses on there, we want this to be a living facility, and they might get, and my understanding is that the building commission will be satisfied with the BZA, and what Dr. Levine has given you strong indication of what he would support at that level, and others, that you're not.
we've talked.
So it leaves this open, right? I mean, there is a process there, that BZA process. It sounds like you guys,
Okay, what we denied here is
you haven't denied it.
non-conforming, well, by virtue of the time, denied or whatever terms are. We have voted no negatively on the existing garage structure, nothing more. So if they start asking for variances on something else, that's a whole new process. And we have to go through all of them.
Well, they could amend you have to go through it regardless, right? Unless they withdraw their application, they can amend their application, they can submit a whole new one.
That's what I just said,
That's right.
do the whole thing over. And but we have denied the existing non-conforming structure in the, what you call it, the second.
You have denied it.
So what happened?
You've denied the motion to approve it, but you haven't denied the application either, because unless somebody wants to make that motion.
Our typo is on the entire job, the tearing the house down, the new house, and leaving the guest or the garage, changing whatever it is to a garage. So, that's why I asked Chris, I don't know what happens with this. So since we're a tie, I guess it's back to whether or not the Skiats want to pursue just taking the garage out. They want to go to the BZA and say, hey, listen, this is what we want to do. And I agree with Chris, and I discussed that with Abby previously as well as Heidi. If you do decide you're going to go to the BZA, I would suggest that you go with what you originally wanted and see what they say. Maybe you could make this into a guest house and leave it in the non-conforming. So, and I think that's what you need by asking for this guy.
And it otherwise leaves this open. This matter remains open unless, number one, somebody's inclined to change, and I don't think that's the case, or there's a motion to deny it, and that probably doesn't approve. It leaves this open. So they have a decision to make of whether they want to amend this and come back to you for further consideration. A vote against approval is not a vote against it. in general, because there isn't a majority that has voted against that.
So unfortunately, it's what we talked about the first month, and I mean, you and I, Heidi, or you guys can talk later today, or we'll see what we can do. Okay? Thanks. Lost my place. Montclair Way.
About 1514 Lakeshore Drive.
Oh, 1514 Lakeshore Drive. I provided the owner with the ordinance that would, similar to what we just did. I gave her the ordinances that her project didn't meet, so that she can, I'm assuming from what I've had discussions with her, that she's gonna go to the BZA. So I don't know what happens, Chris. Do we just take that off now and wait till she decides what to do, or?
And so Larry, just because I'm on the BZA, it was denied based on a garage, a lot with just a garage and no residence on it, right?
It was a mixed bag, yes. So what happened was, she had two permits, and one was a permit. First, they came in as a plan review, and we had to keep asking for documents. One was a permit for putting a garage on a lot across the street. You all know we had a discussion about that. I think there's a way she can probably do that, but she's got to hire counsel and go through that. Then on the house, on 1514 on the lakeside, they wanted, the proposal is to put a second story over the existing house. The problem with that is specific to our new conforming ordinance, which I know you're familiar with now. We don't allow an increase in volume in a non-conforming structure in a setback. And what they wanted to do was, the front of their house is about 2 feet from the lot line. So let's say it's 12-foot encroaching. You can't do that. On the east side, there were some encroachments, and on the west side, there were some encroachments. So I just sent her everything, and then she'll, I'm assuming, decide. We didn't deny the permit because it never.
Site plan.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, but those were the two reasons.
Those were the two reasons, right? It's 3 on the house and 1 across the street, but the one is the garage, pretty cut and dried, and the other one, is the street setback, Lakeshore Drive setback, volume in a setback. The west side had some volume in a setback, and the east side had some volume in a setback.
3 sides.
Yeah, 3 sides. Montclair Way, that permit was approved with conditions that we sent to the applicant that had to be recorded. We have not received those back yet. Okay.
I had a quick question on that.
Sure.
It doesn't have an address. Is that something that comes up eventually? I know Bob was the former chair of APC. I am now. So will that come up at some point to give that property an address?
They will have to request the APC.
Okay.
And oftentimes what they do is they suggest an address, and you can look at it and see if you agree with it. The idea is to not make it too confusing for the firemen and postal.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay.
2226 Lake on the trail. They requested a survey for that property for lot coverage. Did we ever get that?
No, I haven't, Pete, and I'll have to follow up on that. That I just didn't do it. I mean, I did it, I asked for it, but I didn't stay after.
Can you just refresh everybody's memory? This is a large patio put in this location, which, in my opinion, is greatly over the 35% mark.
They put it in without a permit?
They got a permit. We approved the permit. based on what they had submitted. We went out, he and I went out and looked and.
Sorry, is that something that's on the agenda or is it?
No, it's not.
What is it? No, I just want to make sure because I don't think everybody's clear on the address we're talking about.
Okay, this is 2226 Orient Road. So we went out in the landscaping structures, which was a kitchen and a grill and whatever, were in the setback. And so we got a hold of the builder and they said, oh, my guys built it according to the first drawing, rather than what we made, when they came back, they had to move everything so that it was out of the setback. And then we approved the correct stuff. Then when we went out to look at it, they had built it into the setback and the excuse was, well, my guys did it according to the old drawing, which we didn't care. So we said, well, you gotta move it back. So then they redid it. And, when Pete and I went there, I think a second time, we looked at, it's a very strange property. It appears that their lot line is well into the fairway of the golf course. So we just want to make sure where the lot line is, what their coverage is, and that they're conforming and that their stuff is not in the setback and they're not over the 35%, which they, the information that was given to us was that they were not. Okay. And I
Their calculations were wrong.
right.
They haven't resumed any work on there. I just went there again today. They took a lot of stuff out and left it there, but they haven't resumed any work.
But I'll request that, if not today, again, I requested from actually the owner and the landscape company, a state survey. And then I didn't go through on it.
So we didn't fine them for building into the setback, we just made them fix it.
Yeah, they had to take everything out.
And,
Not only said that on the people's property.
yeah, and I guess my thought is that if we found out that not only did they do that, lied about coverage, there need to be some time. And then it looks like we're being deceived.
All right, I'll make note of that and I'll get, I'm assuming we can get it fairly quickly. Okay. Mark, what are you here for?
Are Nikki's on the agenda?
No, we don't need to get all their stuff.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I called, I didn't hear her, I had sent emails, I didn't hear back about, I don't know if the board got information from the BZA back to this board.
No, I talked to Chris about it, but,
That doesn't affect this. So BZA is squared away and just getting those signed findings and decision.
so we've got another meeting in 3 weeks. So let's make sure that you and Honor and I get together and make sure that you have everything at one. What happens a lot of times, and Honor and I discussed this, and we've actually, Chris, I'll give you a little background, it won't take long. We used to take things that weren't complete and we talk about them. But what happens is it drags on for months. We had one that was in here for 9 months. And at Chris's behest to me was, you have to stop doing that. So I'll get with you. How about you and I get together Monday and we'll make sure that you get everything all in one package to Honor. And then we'll make sure it's on the agenda for the April. This meeting is 3 weeks late, so our next one's coming in 2 weeks.
Okay,
Okay?
yeah, thank you.
Thanks. I didn't want to see you sitting there because I didn't see anything else on it.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have an updated copy that I found out late, but I had one on there. I was just trying to check with.
Yeah.
I had one on there 17 something, and I was just trying to check on her to make sure that she was on her toes. Okay, new business, 2234 Lakeshore Drive. It stairs to the beach. They meet our, has everybody seen that one? Or do you want me to put it up on the screen?
Well, is it steel?
It's steel. It's steel. They're 42 inches wide and parallel to the wall. They meet all of our ordinance. Okay. 1700 Lakeshore Drive. I have to recuse myself because we're doing the work, but I'd like to be able to explain to you what, I'm actually doing it with Bruce Woodruff, but I'll pull this up so you have it. It's just gonna take me a second.
This is,
Yes, it's Gallagher's office. Well, while I'm looking for this, I could give you a verbal explanation. It's, there's a seawall down on, do you know where the water problem is that this town is fixing right now?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the house next door to Zafar's. It's Bob Gallagher's old house, for those of you that know Bob or knew Bob. All right, let me see if I can share here. All right, so this is where the house, let me zoom up. This is where the existing house is. It's not shown. This is the proposed house, but Bob's house, Gallagher's house is over on the east side of the lot. This where you see the septic system that's proposed. There's a, I could probably zoom up so you can see more, but let's try this. The soil boring number 8, and it's underneath here, but there's a soil boring number 5. If you can see where the water table at soil boring number 5 is 52 inches below the grade. The water table at soil boring number 8, which is right here on the edge of that green line, was 32 inches. So it's very unusual and highly unlikely that the natural water table up in 4 feet would rise 20 inches. So we think that, see where the dashed lines underneath the pink is? We think that we can go in and install, this seawall's been buried, I think for probably 30 years at least. So the water, where the difference in the soil borings are, is being held artificially behind the seawall, which is what Zafar, and I think everybody that's familiar with the big project that's going on, they're putting drainage in from about stop 16 to stop 18 something. And to alleviate the water that Zafar has had some problems, but the town had a drain through his property. So this is the same thing. With that seawall being buried and everything plugged, there's no way for the landside water to drain back to the lake. So our proposal is that we would go in there, excavate to the top of the seawall, install proper drainage, and where you see the 2 pink lines that go out, those pipes, normally on an exposed seawall, like we saw in 2019, when all the seawall work was being done, the drainage is put in and it's let go to what they call daylight, which the other side of that seawall allows the water to drain. Because we have to put the sand back because we don't allow, somebody to come in and plow it down and do. The pipes will go to, again, what they call daylight, where you can see where it says outlet here. Right here at the end. And that's where Zafar next door, the town has a drain that's actually on Zafar's property, which is right where I'm circling my mouse. And the new project the town's doing will do away with that. So this proposal is to go down, we're not gonna be on the beach, no equipment on the beach, but the equipment will be on, and I'll show you where the natural ornament one is. This is the 584. I know that that's under contentious discussion all the time, but this is what the Army Corps of Engineers determined for their purposes, and now the DNR uses as the natural ornament one. So as you can see, that is that's 297 feet to the water. I don't know how many feet. It's probably 150 feet from where the seawall is. So it's entirely on their property. And these topo lines where the numbers are. So this is 584. This is a foot higher than 584. So the sand rises up to a level where this work would be going on to about 593. And you can see there's a little bit of an apex here. And then this section over here rises up a little bit. So then we go in, take everything down to seawall, install the drainage, put the 2 pipes out to daylight, and then put the grade back to what it was before.
Okay, now which side of the seawall is this?
It's on the land side of the seawall.
The one septic involved.
No, the existing septic is right out here where the proposed house is. See where it says location of existing septic system, and there's 2 tanks right there, or two caps on the tank. That's the existing septic system. This septic system has not been installed yet. This is what they're proposing with the new house. And we don't have a permit for that yet because they're not done.
So they're gonna put a new house on the other.
They're gonna tear Bob's house down and put a house over both lots.
So Larry, the outlets extend out past the vegetation line?
I'm sorry, Bob.
The outlets, the big outlets that you've got in here, they extend out past the vegetation line?
They extend out, see where these lines, the topo lines are
Yep.
real high right here where it says outlet?
Yep.
The vegetation is on top of those. There's no vegetation when you get out here. It's probably actually for me easier for you. So see where this spot is, Bob? Yeah, those are real tight.
Right.
That means it's like this.
Goes down.
Right, so when you get up to, see where this line is? That's where the vegetation starts, right there. So there's no vegetation on the steep slope. It starts at the top of the slope.
Did you say the 3 lines at Daylight Creek are going to be on top of the seawall, or are they going to?
No, they're behind it. The drain lines are behind the seawall, and then they're cut through the seawall and extend to Daylight.
Okay, how are you gonna interface and tie the pipes into the seawall? Will they be anchored?
No, so you know what, it might be easier if I just draw it back here.
Yeah, it's just what it's going to move with me.
So here's kind of the best. So this is the sand, here's the last one. You see it? This is sand, they call it accretion, it's accretion, sand is blown up, so this is now blown to a dune, okay? Well, there's moderate dune. So this is the seawall, I'm not exactly sure how far it sits, it's probably 3 or 4 feet down. So the water from up here, where Lakeshore Drive is, the water comes down and comes here, there's no outlet. So what the proposal is we excavate down here. And then we take and, we cut hole, well, first we cut down, and you take filter block, which is that black stone. And that filter block goes here. And then there's a drain pipe in here, there's a slotted pipe that's what's called sock that gets fabric. And then, you know, fill that with stone, and as you get higher, stone starts and then this is red. So everything gets filtered down to where here, your stone's pretty small. And in a normal seawall, where this is the sand, you cut holes in that steel sheet piling and you put, like a Schrader valve, so the water's only one way, it can't come in, but it can go out. We don't have that luxury because we have to put the sand back here because we have to return this to the grade that it's at. So we're gonna put pipes through here, so we're gonna cut holes two times with those two lines. And, we're gonna extend these pipes out so that, the water, I mean, if we just cut a hole here for a period of time, then all of a sudden, this would get silt and whatever in it, and then it would just stop, it wouldn't drain deep.
You're talking 4-inch pipes, 6, 8,
No, 4 inch.
what?
This will be 4 inch, this might be 6. Come on.
So what water is this draining with stuff coming off the street?
You know, right, so here's, and this is the problem throughout the entire beach. So here's a house up here. And this is the street side, or the hillside of Lake Shore Drive. Then you come down here, and here's a house on Lake Shore Drive. And this is Lake Shore Drive here. So the reason that the town is spending the money that they're spending is because between stop 16 and stop 8, a little past 18, that water all drains down to 3 or 4 houses there. So the town came in, and the town, they're in the middle of doing it right. They're putting structures in, and then that water's gonna be carried down. There's a big structure there. There's a couple, I think there's 3 or 4 structures. The structures being concrete, big concrete driveways. In catch basins, and then that water will all go into there, and then it'll go down and stop 18. If you go down to the beach at stop 18 now, you'll see a big swale or spillway made out of stone, and that water's gonna come down there and it's gonna dissipate. You've seen them on the highways, you see it's like a head-sized stone, then it gets smaller, and then that water will all run down there. So what happens here is that this happens, this not at this stop, but every stop. Stop 30 is another bed. You got this house that's way up on the hill, and everything that they have, their casual water, which means rainwater, plants, watering plants, rain, whatever, and even their septic stuff filters down. Well, the lake level, this is kind of goofy. I was told not to pay attention to that. So the lake level's down here, as everybody knows, water sees its own level. So these houses, from the runoff, from the roof, from the gutters, from everything, that water has to go somewhere. So where does it go? It's coming down here, and then it's slowly gonna filter back down to the lake. So when you drive a steel sheet piling along there, what happens? It stops that. So some people on Lake Shore Drive, particularly in stop 30 area and stop 17, 18, and 19, there's a house that stop 17, 2 east, or 18, 2 or 3 east of, or west of the stop, that we went in probably 15 or 20 years ago. It's the duplex that they run out all the time, the green one. We went in there had such a water problem for here that we just put a pea gravel in the entire basement and poured new slabs, so the water just runs up in the house back to the lake. And I'm sure you have to ask somebody that knows a lot more than I do. I'm sure there may be some natural aquifers that are draining down through there too. It's not all just house water. So what we're trying to do here is alleviate the water here. So over time, when they put that septic system in, the water's not gonna come up and hit the septic system.
So I guess the concern I have is that the pipe is gonna extend out past the vegetation line, which some people would call natural water. And so we're gonna have pipe on that problem.
Well,
Thinking of that line.
right, so if you look back at the drawing, maybe I should just go up there, maybe that would be easier. If you look back at the drawing. Yeah, that's a good, you want me to pull that up? Here. Where did you get that P? Hold on, I'll pull that up, that's probably a good. That's a better shot.
thank you, Chris.
Got a few times, sorry on that.
But it just went back to the same place it was before.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there, sorry.
Twist. Chris, owl, a good twist.
Yeah, I've done that at all.
Yeah, I can get it. I can't figure out how. I can't get this banner up here from. Let's see if this works.
The other way.
Yeah, the other way.
Okay, here.
Yeah.
There you go. See if it.
Now,
Oh, because it might be going to voice.
Yeah. Was that a current one, Bob, or?
The owl zooms in on the loud speaker that's right next to it. Everybody in Zoom today has been watching the profile of Chris Willoughby and Honor, and that's about all we've seen of his meeting.
You won't feel bad.
So every time I don't know,
It is, it usually, it focuses on him, but yeah, the setup has been a trend. That's why we've adjusted it before.
Thank you for trying, Chris. We appreciate it.
Says that, I think. Yeah, all right. I can pull this up. Okay. I don't know how to make that bigger. I guess it's as big as I have on my list. Yeah, that's as high, that's as high or zoomed in as I can get. Okay. I heard that. Okay, I think that might be the best. I don't know. You're. I don't know if you got, get back to this. I can't seem to bring up your hand. Can you make, go straight big there? Go up here and make that a part of this, so that, and make it as big as it can. That'll increase the size of it.
Zooms in anyway, doesn't make it bigger, but it zooms in.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, well, and we'll just have to do this. Okay, so, oh, now you're zoomed in too far. Can you zoom back out? But you know what, just leave it there. Let's just leave it there. Okay, so this is Bob Gallagher's existing house right here. See this one? This is the fire. So the new structures that they're putting in are all, there's huge ones here. They come from down there and then they come up, take a team and take the water out. So what we want, I can't move it. See where's the fire fence is? Yeah, right here. The seawall extends right through there. That's, if you extended that white fence and went along here, the seawall's underneath there. So the proposal is to dig this out, put the drainage there, and then put the pipes like here and just on the other side of that tree. This is a fire snow fence out in front to stop the sand from blowing. Whatever, I mean, it's not there now, but it was.
But you did say Larry would penetrate the seawall and how far further past the seawall, underlying seawall, are you gonna extend the pipes?
I don't know what the scale is on that. I can't tell you that if it's 10 feet. I have to look at that drawing and do the scale.
We brought up, whose property is it up there?
This, well, here, I'll show you. That's the owner's property. When the jurisdictional line.
That's, so that would be the question, you know.
Right.
Where can you go with it for,
Hold on here. Oh, yeah. Now it's not coming up.
Why couldn't this be, it's between Gallagher and, what's it, supposed to be some problem? That's where the new drain is being put in to alleviate what was going on in Safari, right?
Right, the town has a drain that is through,
I'm just wondering, why couldn't we just connect it to that drain? Why couldn't we revert it to get in that drain as well?
well, I don't think the town wants private water going into their system.
Okay, so the water coming off, the water that's causing this problem is coming off house, from house.
It's coming off the entire area. It's,
I mean, it's coming across the street, according to what you said, right?
it's coming, it's, so, here, I mean, you've got land up here.
Yeah, I'm not, that's what I'm saying.
So you've got, let me maybe I can explain it a little easier. So here's where the septic system is proposed, like right here, okay? There's a water table, when Johnny Question comes in, he does a boring. Part of where a septic system can go is, it can't, I think it's 50 inches or something. So when he came down here, if he set a soil, he found water 52 inches. Okay. All right, then he came over here. This is, I think it's 4.5 feet. All right, he came over here, he found water, I think it was 32, I can't remember exactly. So we know just from, we involve everyone, water seasons all up. So you have 5 soda waters here, and they're all between 50 and 52 inches. And you go 4 feet away, and it's 32 inches. Something's holding water. So I said to the owners, Steve Bing, and Wood Connection, and he said, well, this water is being held. I know that because we've done a lot of the same type of work along hospitals and waters. The water is being held behind the seawall. So in order to alleviate that, this is the proposal. We come here, we put drains out here. And normally you would just pull the hole through the seawall and put a drain, one little drain, right? And the water would drain. But this would do that for a while. We have to put this drain back because the town doesn't allow people to all that do now. So we have to put the sand back here. In order to make this work, this has to go to an area where the sand is that elevation. So when you look, well, I should show you. If you look at the street right here, see this spot right here? That's the town's drain. The town's drain comes through his property, and then he's got a drain just like the one I'm proposing. He's got a drain that comes out right there and drains. When you, I don't know why I can't do this to screen share.
Larry, how long is your drain cavity follow along the seawall, is it run the entire length?
It'll run the entire 80 feet out.
And the pipes going out there are completely buried, right?
Yes. Hold on. So if you look at this again now, this area where see this, the pink stuff, that's new drainage. It's behind the seawall. This, where this is, I'm pointing at it, you can't see it. If you look at Pete's picture, which I can't seem to get up. Where this pipe comes out, the neighbor's outlet, you see, if you look at Pete's, you can see it from the area. The neighbor's outlet is out here.
That's the fires.
That's the far's outlet. That's where the town's outlet is. They're doing away with the towns, the fire would still have them here. But the towns is gonna run down to stop 18 and come out. So this is, what we're proposing here is to be behind Zafar's. Because what happened with Zafar's, when the water came up, I don't know which one of you guys was on the town council. Remember, he was calling about cutting the pipe off, his kids were jumping. And then when the sand went out, Zafar said, hey, you gotta come back and extend the pipe. Because now that pipe is buried and it doesn't allow the water to flow. We're trying to alleviate that with these two outlets here. So then, Ken, you asked, if somebody asked about ownership of the property. And that's where,
The pipe actually have to be exposed on the lakeside.
no, it doesn't. But it can't be under 8 feet as far as 5, whatever that depth is there, it's probably 5 feet fan. So then when you look at,
It can't because it won't work or there's some rule.
no, it can't because it won't work. You know, there's, like, if you go down there and look at Safar's right now, he doesn't have the dune grass that this property has. So the sand has a tendency to blow more into his area. And Tom Dolphin would go down there once or twice a year and dig that out. So when you go down there now, here's the sand level, and then they dig out to where the outlet is so that water can flow freely. But they take a lot more water.
So does the town even go abandoning this one?
Yes.
And then the 8
And so the property, somebody asked, you know, is that water going to be dumped onto public land? And the answer to that is no. This word says natural water. You guys know, I'm not a lawyer. I don't think Chris wants to get into it, but right now, from Gunderson, anything above the natural or land side of the natural ordinary water is under the jurisdiction of the town of Long Beach. Ownership, you could ask, I'll ask Chris if he wants to talk about that, but then anything lakeside of the natural ordinary water. The town does not have jurisdiction on that, no matter who owns it. Everything that's lakeside from the natural ordinary water is under the jurisdiction of the DNR and the Army Corps.
Right, but the problem here is being caused by the stuff that's out in the hill, where you diagram, right? It's running.
Right, it's the street.
So why can't we run divert it over to 18 with the stuff that's probably, which is already problem. Because he's got a city problem.
Right,
It's coming from up the hill.
that's right. Well, it's coming from up the hill, the street.
Right, so unless we do something here, this is just gonna continue to put a lot of stuff in this guy's property. And that's what we're trying to solve over here. We're trying to solve. So,
And you're solving the street water problem in any surface water.
sure,
Gets cut off.
but couldn't we have the same solution to this property and move that to that?
Well, the street water is being.
Like, what, and Woodruff is involved in both projects, right? So that's being taken into account.
We don't live
He's in the town.
Once the city project schedule will complete.
They're doing it now, I would imagine it's done.
I'm in there, and all. I'd say wait till they're done, And I'm here, they're abandoned outfall, the whole line.
Yeah, the problem is if you don't do anything to allow the water coming from, so it's the fire's house, where this line is there, he's got a seawall there too. He's, somebody already looked years ago, put a penetration through his seawall, and then the town did too. He still is gonna have to maintain his drain. Because what the town's drain is taking care of is the water from 16 to the 18.
I mean, we can go as far as we can go, but if you have to deal with another enemy, past the high water.
No, this is 120 feet behind the natural. So it's, again, I use the fire before, because that's what the Army Corps said. That's what the DNR uses. It's debatable.
If you can find a way to get pipes draining water and then leave them exposed, that's, I go.
Well, when we put the outlet up there, what will happen is that will be wrapped just as well. So it's just not gonna have 5 feet of sand on top. We can wrap that, and cover it. And then what would happen is, if what happened in 2019 happens again, then what's gonna happen is this buildup will be gone. And then it will have to be cut back. They'll have to cut that back.
Is there such a thing as a sump pump to pump that water up from down lower, up and then release it at the top of that dune?
You know, I can't address that. I'm sure that what the town's putting in is entirely gravity driven.
Right, and where are they releasing their water at?
Stop 18.
And out quite a bit further than this.
Yeah, that's going pretty far.
So they're putting out sewer.
Right, there's several structures.
And is that gonna solve most of the problem?
Well, it solves the problem of all the street runoff and any water that runs down. If somebody has a gutter drain, it comes out from here and dumps onto the street, yes, it will take that. One of the problems, especially in this area, this is the duplex. That's the one that we put, no, it's not up here. That's the one that we put the peak grabber in. They couldn't stop the water. And we couldn't stop it. This was at their house level, and that's what Sapphire, if you go down to Sapphire's basement and you drill a hole in this lower slab, you probably hit water 3 or 4 inches. And is that something natural? I don't know. You need somebody way above my pay grade to figure that.
But the streets project, town's project, will take care of the drainage off of Lake Shore Drive.
That's right.
It's really not designed to take care of this water here.
No, it's not, because as soon as water gets below Lake Shore Drive on the hillside, that's what happens. It runs down here. And that's the same problem with Stop 30. Stop 30 is, there's a convergence from Stop 29 midway. The Lake Shore Drive is high at Stop 29 there, about 29 in the end. And then from Stop 31, it slows down towards Stop 30. So there's at least two houses that I know of that we did, the pink house on the corner. We did this exact same thing, but their seawall was above grade, so we were able to put the drains in the seawall and alleviate that. So what that did, with that particular house was, they had standing water in their basement, which was, their basement level was probably 3 feet above, maybe 2 or 3 feet above the top of their seawall. But there was enough water being held in there that it backed up into their house. When we went in and installed drains, it alleviated that hydraulic pressure that held the seawall.
So if the town's project does what it's designed to do, over time, there should be a gradual diminution of this water that's behind the seawall, right? Because no more will be flowing in off the lake, off the hill.
There should be, when the town does theirs, the whole system, I think it's 800,000 or something, is designed, and there will no longer be street runoff going down to these houses. That's correct. They'll still get the water from anything from the hillside that is saturated the ground under the street.
Well, again, I just have concerns about it, putting pipes out on the, basically the public property. You know, the DNR told us they were gonna do Army Corps, one of those two said they were gonna come back and redetermination of natural ordinary watermark every couple of years.
Yeah,
They haven't been back 5 years.
well, I think that one we did back down in
Yeah,
28, whatever, from Del Terra.
yeah,
That was when the Army Corps did theirs. They wouldn't accept Del Terra's 581. So they came back and that's when they said 584.
well, and a lot of that literature talks about the line of vegetation being the natural ordinary watermark.
Right.
There's other things they look at too, but it just concerns me that this pipe is gonna run out past that line of vegetation.
So, you know, look at the park, you say they're also going to tear down the Gallagher's house.
Yes,
And renewables.
yes.
Are they gonna do with all this?
What's,
Well, there's no seawall, but as I remember, it's deeper, the seawall is.
right,
This, that's a fence.
right. This is a fence. This is the white line, the seawall is under the white. Right. The seawall extends directly from, if you took a line and went through the Safari, his fence is on top of the seawall.
Okay, that was closer to Gallagher's.
You know, and then the other thing too is that if we do the town's project and there is no diminution of that water behind the seawall, then that's gonna be evidence that maybe there are some springs back there. And I guess the question then is that the towns, should the town be, you know, interfering with public property, to fix somebody's property on their problem on their property that's been there before they bought it?
I don't think that, that's part of the MS4 ordinance that we were reviewing. Part of that, one of the options in there was that people could donate. I don't know if donate is the right term, but they could donate their outfall to the town. And I said, absolutely not. You don't want these people or Safari to say, hey, we're gonna give you this. Well, because then you have to maintain it. As an MS4, you have to maintain it. So mine, and I mean, I can't vote on this, but I would say to you, never take anybody's private responsibility. And that's why we pulled it out of the MS4 ordinance.
So under the 5 foot, how high is this?
And I'm gonna say it's probably 4 or 5 feet above the top of the seawall.
So how about something bone between the seawall and that? Or something like that, something that could come up. We're gonna do that to stop.
Yeah, I can, you know what, I can suggest that we do that instead of running the pipe today.
That is an implosion ball.
So it's, instead of, at the end of the pipe, having the pipe open, there's a, I don't know if it's called a bubbler, I'd have to ask my brother what I call it. So what it does is, there's something underneath there that allows the water to go into and dissipate like a sump. So then, like a driveway, sewer being on septic, the water goes into it, and then it slowly seeps out. You know, I could suggest that there'd be 2 of those put at the end of here, and actually then you wouldn't need to take it out to daylight. Then you could put it back here.
Back by the line of vegetation.
Right.
Well, you know, I guess my thought is we fought long and hard to protect the beach. And if now I turn around and say, well, we're gonna let Lakefront homeowners put a pipe out there, 2 pipes out there. They're not gonna like me very much. That's my.
I'll go back and say, hey, what can we put here? We could put a sump and have the water run into a sump. That's what's out in front of, that's what the town uses right now, out in front of Safari's house. There's and I'm not sure if it's still there, but there was at one time, when sand was coming out, they put a structure up there. I think it was a plastic one, but then the water ran into that, and then it got covered, just dissipated through the sides. And we can certainly do that here as well.
If the pipe was to go in, that's not an outflow.
Yes. It'd be private outfalls. Putting my MS4 in, private outfalls do not have to be maintained by the town, but they have to be maintained and inspected once a year by the owner. And that's part of our public outreach. You know, Joy was talking about the rain garden. We are going to put on the website with our BMP manual, the information about inspecting your outflows. Yeah. Never thought of that. Okay. So that's, unless there's any other questions, that's what this permit is about. And I have to recuse myself because I'm,
Well, I guess I would suggest let's go back to the drawing board, see what other choices we have inside of this box. Is that all right?
sure.
We need a motion.
I mean, yeah, the next meeting's in a few weeks, I'll come in with something else. Okay.
Thank you, Larry, for the explanations.
You bet. 2000 June Wave, exterior removed and replaced fence, some landscaping, there's a bit of a retaining wall. I've talked to the contractor, and explained to them that the fence must be put back on their own property. The retaining wall must be on their own property. And Carter and I talked about it only that Wednesday. So when if this permit is approved, when Carter brings the permit out, he's gonna make sure that they put a streamline down for their lot line. And then make sure everything goes on the inside of it, that it's a remove and replace.
But there is a 3-step staircase, is that new?
No, I think, didn't they send a drawing?
About a deck for an exterior shower.
All right, hold on. What's the address?
2000 June Way.
Looks like in the lot calculations, they're having, says new sub or something in the stairs and the shower. New slab, stairs and shower. So look, it says according here, they're increasing their square footage by 198.05 square feet.
Okay.
According to this sheet that they have on your lot calculations, the size of the lot, the size of the house is bigger than the lot, that can't be right.
No, that's, you know what they did there? They counted both stories. In other words, the footprint, I think they have
Okay,
I think he says first floor.
house. 701, 752.
Okay, so can everybody see the screen? So there's a new fence going in here. You can see the old fence, that's one of the lines with the X's through it. That's the old fence, so they're putting a new fence, but the problem is, if you look at the notes on this site plan, if you look up here where it says fence 0.22 foot east of line,
I told them that can't be maintained. They have to put a line on this where it says set iron rod at the front and then pull it back to the back where it says FD or found pipe or found iron rod and pipe. They have to pull a line between there and all the fence has to be on their own property. This brick barbecue that's existing, they're taking that out and pouring concrete there. The exterior shower, I don't know if that's existing or not, Bob, so it looks like it's not.
Yeah, it says it is new.
Okay. And then the steps, it doesn't say if the steps are new or not.
I think they call them new also, at least not the front of that.
So that if we look at the coverage. So the lot's 11,305 square feet. The house is 1830. The driveway is 112. No, porch is 112. Driveway, it's up to 937. The new surface, the new slab is 879. The new stairs is 32. And the new shower is 80. It's 99, so you add all of the coverage items up, it's 3,758.7 square feet. And our allowable is 3,956 square feet, so they're under the 35%. All right,
I'll make a motion to approve.
okay.
I'll
Second,
second.
all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. 307 Moore Road. Carter went out, this is the house that's right behind the real estate agency on Lakeshore Drive. And Carter, the problem with this is that the property I'm gonna take a stab at this, but the property is probably 70% covered. It's a very small, I can bring up the,
Yes, it's great.
right,
Did they cover the population close?
no, you could, I mean, I don't think they did. Honor, did they send coverage calculations in?
I asked for someone to do that, and so maybe what we should tell them is we need coverage calculation, but if you're.
Here, let me show this there, so you can kind of see. I can, there we go. Okay, it's this property, right here, as you can see. It's probably 85% coverage. So, I mean, and unfortunately, I mean, it's not the owner's fault. This was one of those properties that was acquired when you know what happened. Remember, they had sell those properties. So, you know, it's not their fault, but it now has to conform to our rules, right, Chris? So the only thing they can do is change the plans or change whatever's there. They can't put any more hardscape in.
What do they want to put in?
Some hardscape and some plants.
Plants would be okay, right?
Right, they just can't put any of the hardscape in.
What's left, hardscape?
There, see this little green area here? There's a little bit of green area here. I think they want to, let's see if I can pull the permit.
But they're gonna have a natural stone separate path toward the lake and a half lake.
Oh, what?
The lake, a path, stone separate path.
I mean, I think, Bob, in keeping with your, this may be something that if they went to the BZA,
I don't think this can be approved at our level.
no, I can't.
That's really, as far as the BZA.
Well, it's something that, I think they, I don't know. Anything I say would be a guess. I think they are using, for some.
And the, wasn't representing community. And that's supposed to be.
All right, so, and then are we gonna deny this then?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, John, all those in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. 2303 Hazeltine, it's landscaping, hardscaping. Calculations show the new coverage to be under 35%. Any questions or discussion?
I move to approve.
Okay, so when I looked at this, my comment was, this seems like a bit haphazard, with a randomly shaped lot. I'd be more comfortable with the site plan and coverage calculation. So the coverage calculation is way beyond my geometry. Yes, lots, pretty irregular, lots, pretty irregularly shaped.
It is really a tight lot. I mean, I live right down the street, Bob, you go by there. I mean, they're doing a nice job with what they've done, but then adding in, it is really irregular. And I think Christine, just did that on her own. Kind of figuring out where things would go.
And when you get a lot of shade like this, what perceived background is, with the way down line, sure. Plus, this looks like something that was sketched out by hand. But people who do this for a living.
Anita, this is the one that just had the addition put on it, right? Is this the one that just had the addition put on it, Anita? Is this the one that just had the addition put on it?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm talking about calculations over here. Our Joy's done some calculations, so I might let say something. Yes, they're still working, they're about finished with it.
They added a addition.
Yeah, they put an addition on the kind of facing out into open wall. The house fronts onto, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's maybe a quarter on that, I had bacon, oh, shot.
No.
Okay, here's the site plan that they sent me. This is the existing. These are their calculations that they put on here. I don't know what, so they're adding a stone path. They're adding limestone pavers here, they're adding stone here, and this walkway existing.
With the that new foyer, new stoop and stair.
So is my understanding from what you guys are saying, you want to see a more definitive, site plan? Okay.
And Anita says the addition isn't on these papers that we have, so.
Okay, so let's get a up-to-date site plan. Okay,
With professionally done from the calculations, because it's gonna take a professional thing to figure out these coverage areas.
all right, we'll get back with them. 2104 Lakeshore Drive, remove and replace decks. Let me see if I can get that one.
Are those new stairs going down to the beach?
Let's take a look. I'm not that familiar with this one that I know.
It looks like the seawall on the,
What's the address?
looks like the seawall goes in on the west side and some stairs are now going to go over. See.
Okay, here it is. Upper deck, lower deck, stairs. You talking about the stairs on the west side?
Yeah, on the west side. Yeah, it looks like the seawall goes back towards the drive and it looks like some stairs are extending over it now.
Yes.
They're replacing them.
Actually, it looks like they're putting them on the other side, Pete.
Are they moving to the east side, Julie?
No, they show them on here, I have them on here in red on the west side.
Yeah.
But the seawall goes back behind them.
But there's always stairs there.
This looks on mine like new stairs. The stairs only went up to the seawall before, and now it looks like they put some new stairs beyond the seawall.
Okay, so the existing survey, which is up on the screen right now, shows no stairs on the east. And on the west, it looks, see these right here, these stairs are existing.
Yes.
Yeah, all right, wait, sorry. No, right here, Pete. On the west side, there's stairs. There are no stairs on the east side.
But do the stairs on the west side stop at the seawall?
On the existing, there's a wood retaining wall. I don't see a steel. Metal seawall. No, they go past it. See this line where it says metal seawall?
It shows metal seawall coming back here. And it looks like these are.
Yeah, they do. Okay, yeah, I don't have it red.
You know what, it shouldn't be our job to figure out what you want.
No, you're right.
It doesn't say anything about moving anything.
It says replacement.
I mean, I don't think I ever got it, because maybe I didn't turn it off, but.
Thank you, Bob. Sometimes we need that.
So, all right, I'll have to get it back with Patrick and explain to him what's going on. That's a much better picture of that. Did you get that from Otter?
Yes.
I bet that's how they did it in the TDI scan, with no color. Okay. Next is 2804 Lindale. That's the old livestock house. They're putting an addition on. And,
Did you add one since you said this focus?
And where, did you send that out on your?
Yeah, it's on the outside, it was, I got it this morning.
Yeah.
But you guys have it, I sent it.
didn't this come in February?
Not this one, March, cable.
Okay.
And this is where my comment was, I was searching for work section of the building permit application, doesn't mention the addition, this is just like the last. It's like people are trying to sneak stuff through.
Does it? I hate to tell you, I don't think I read the permit. I was looking at the drawings.
Plus I asked for coverage calculations, I think we got those. And can you actually, I know, I didn't. So.
All right, I'll go back to. Okay, any other commission comments?
Yeah, I had some other thing about dumpsters, didn't really get a chance to look at that. One of the reasons that it was just something to be part of the consumer, and that is across the street, and so there's, I think that's maybe 10 towards we had a dumpster there for months.
Right.
But now when we look at the street, that the street has been trashed. That when the dumpsters will be, maybe some look at that and sure, I think because of the dumpsters in and out. And holes and surface all damaged. So what I sent out was just something to talk about getting a permit for a dumpster, maybe any time to be there. She also add something that says street has been inspected. That notice said in several places, and I think you saw it before. And that one, yeah, they dumped the dumpster and several others, and us, that was.
Yeah, right. That was it,
Yeah, yeah. So, please take a look at that and maybe have further discussion. It's the role of the building commission to make recommendations to the APC, about things that need to be changed. So they would have to take first crack at it if we want forward.
You're saying the dumpster damaged the street? They should really have a bond.
Well, that's what I just recommend that.
That's a dumpster company responsibility.
Maybe they should.
Well, it's actually, the responsibility is with the permit holder for anything that happens on their permit. And it's just like the concrete, these concrete companies, trucks weigh 80-some thousand pounds, so they have a tendency, especially if you're on an area where it's soft ground, there's not much of a shoulder. When a concrete truck pulls off, they wreck the roads. So, we had something similar to this, but it was concrete. One, job that stopped 21 or 20. They poured a driveway and it was a newer contractor, so to say. And he just told the guy to go dump his washout by the drain, the town's drain. Somebody called us, I went out there and I couldn't believe it. And as Ken said, you can try to look at liability. It's the concrete companies shouldn't have done that, but it's the guy that's running the job. He's got the permit for the town. So we went to him and said, look, you either clean this up and get this back right, or the town Dolphin's going to do it, and then we'll charge you. Well, Tom ended up doing it and saying, hey, I did it. He was very nice about it. But Yeah, if they damage the street, I'll go by and take a look, Pete, and, take a look at that. So inherent in a building permit, in the rules of not only the town of Long Beach, but the IRC, which is the Indiana Residential Code, which is based off the IRC, which is the International Residential Code, there's rules and there's things in there. And in particular, in our stuff, if you damage the street, you're responsible for it. And as, you know, as Ken said, it's the dumpster company's truck that's doing it. Yes, that's true, but the dumpster company's work, I mean, that would be like saying, if one of my guys did something, it's his responsibility.
Well,
Yes, it's Simon's opinion. What's
the
that?
concrete companies, the dumpster companies are making the permit holder, the homeowner sign off and
Absolutely.
indemnify them anyway.
Yeah, so,
So if it doesn't get it, I'm responsible though.
It just means,
If it's part of the act, they could probably get rid of a ticket for sure. It's pretty proper.
it just means that if the town would pursue the dumpster company, for instance, because you're not privy to their contract, it just may be that the homeowner has to indemnify them, that's not your problem, so.
yeah, there was a big crane at the stop, job at stop 26. They had a big crane that blocked a lot of the road. And there was just enough to get by the crane on the south side of the street. Well, from 2 days of doing that, there was a little bit of damage to the south side of the hillside guy's property. And he called Mark and went down and looked at it, and I called the contractor and I said, hey, you know, Jerry McKeon, I said, hey, Jerry, you know, in the springtime, you can come back and dial this up. And, I said, you know, we noted that we're not gonna give you a ticket, but, you know, it's been noted, the owner called and made a complaint. So, you know, if he doesn't get it cleaned up, then either we do it or go to the homeowner, but I don't think we'll do it, but it's the same thing. I'm, you know, as a builder, I'm responsible for everything they have on the job. So I'll look at the street damage in particular here, Pete. And if there's a problem with it, I'll not only take photo evidence, whatever, to get it to Mark. I'll send it out to you guys and then I'll send it to the homeowner, or not the homeowner, and ultimately the homeowner's responsible for it as opposed to, right, Chris? And this, just so everybody understands, I won't take too much time, but when Pete called about the dumpster, I called the contractor. He said, oh, I'm gonna be done in 2 weeks. He wasn't done, so Pete and I talked. I called the homeowner, and they haven't been to the house in over a year because they live in New York. And I think both of them are doctors, and he is deathly sick. They had to charter a special plane to get him when they came here, whatever. So they were taking advantage of it, and we'll get to the bottom.
Couple of things to think about. I mean this is a lecture, but I think everybody who's lived here realizes that the town is changing pretty quickly from, you know, the old handshake type stuff to gotta be very careful with what we do, what we don't do. And I think some of the problems that I saw when the captain's walker in the area are problems that can crop up in other places in town. There are several large plots of land around town that if they're not controlled or you could say control. I mean, the way, if we want to keep it, somebody in a small town, we should start thinking about what these things can do. For example, issues of lighting. My goal has always been, I don't particularly care what an individual homeowner does, I'm more concerned about the impact it has on neighbors. So I'll be writing something about lighting as well, I'll try to put it in the works form. And
We're also, there's also discussion kind of going in a little bit about how it affects migration and all of that kind of thing. So somebody that are kind of out there, not something ready for ordinance, but out there.
So I scribbled up some stuff on lighting. And once again, anything that's in 154 is in our purview to make a recommendation to the APC with that. Tree garbage cans, let's say we thought we had a good thing going against garbage cans. The Senate seems to have gone backwards now, right around town. There's a lot of garbage cans that just not able to go away. They're just sit out there. And we have an ordinance in place to go after them. We need to start enforcing that, and that's really our, I think it was set up that the building commission would cite these things, right?
Yeah, we had, I think the, actually, it's the building inspector was supposed to go around and put the stickers on. Yeah, that's And, it's supposed to go on, put stickers on there, you can't say, you know, if you don't get this put away, the next time it's gonna be a fine, and that's, there's an ordinance.
Kate, maybe that's something that we could ask Meg, we have the president of the council here. Maybe we could ask Meg to put something about that, because it does happen, you're right, especially with the, warmer months coming up and people coming who, God bless them, they bring their trash out, but again, make a friend, make a neighbor, hire somebody, so maybe Meg could just do something on the website or, an email blast.
We're allowed to talk. Those days are done.
They're actually here.
Everybody receive money, supplement the each.
Yes,
sir.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well,
I just want to make sure everybody understood the process and what goes on and everything before we go
I
out.
think you had some capital letters in there, Judge Ivan next to you.
I didn't get it. Oh, what was their response?
your dumpster ordinance.
Oh,
He gave us the whole, everything you could ever go on dumpsters.
right. Okay, you actually mentioned how. Yeah, see them. And okay, the last thing I'd say is trees. There have been some trees, I think I started talking to Larry about this. There's something going on with trees, oak trees in particular. And, I don't know if the tree board, do they eat animals? Do they-
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
She reports every meeting.
They're very active.
Well, there's blight going on, because we need to put some kind of restrictions in. I talked to a couple of people, and I said, what is this? Of course, they didn't know, when I described what was happening, they said, well, that sounds like tree light. And
I think it's a fungus.
whatever.
I'm pretty sure it's a fungus.
But the fungus apparently is spread in season, you know, when it's not frozen, when they're not frozen. So I think we need to be pretty specific with people about when they have tree work done. Because it's spreading really quickly. See,
No oak trees should be approved or anything unless, except for them.
that they are being moved.
They're not except in their winter.
Right.
Oh, I didn't.
The ground has to be frozen, so I have the same person I use every 3 to 5 years, and I, at one point, had several estimates
Years ago, and they were the only company that said this can only be done when the ground is frozen. Winter.
Well, there are
You
trees,
see it when we
there have been plenty of trees done during this winter, or with the ground not frozen, one particular right out Chesterton. The house we've had the problem, now including the like that. And, I don't know how we monitor this, but this is, the ground is not frozen.
Yeah, I think it's a communication thing and an education issue, so I think it's another thing we should let it.
We have a lot of children. I think you probably understand this more than anybody, as long as you've been in the tree boards and in the park department, whatever. We have people that, it's, you know, the Uncle Jimmy's coming up and cutting trees down on weekends, and Carter mentioned, is it okay if I come around on weekends sometimes? Because a lot of, you know, the weekend warriors are out with their Uncle Jimmy's doing all the work. And trees in particular, I don't warrior make this go on any longer, it's just been long enough, but does our tree ordinance prevent somebody from coming in and just Mr. Team a lot? I mean,
Only if there are top properties.
okay, because that's what's happening. People are buying lots and they are completely, or, I mean, everything's gone. And one of my neighbors asked me, and I said, you know, I hate to tell you, I don't know, but if it's, they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, if there's any thoughts to looking at that, Michigan City instituted in the last handful of years. Because in fact, that corner that's across from Woodruff that they clear cut, you know, that was one of the things that got some attention, that Michigan City actually has some provisions that addresses not being able to just clear cut lots and size wise. So further step, the issue with this one is getting off the ground is having an arborist that's on staff and somebody that can actually manage that. But if you think about going further, you know, Michigan Cities is probably a good one to think about. I'm not advocating for that, but it's a good resource to start if somebody wants to look.
There's 2 lots that I've seen in the last month that were highly, deeply, whatever forested. And they've been completely wiped out. It's just flat sand. And, you know, part of the problem is people don't understand that if you have any smoke, those trees are the reason that you're able to contain or maintain that. So yeah, I'm all for it. Maybe we could talk. Is there, so you say Michigan City have ordinance?
They do have a tree ordinance. It's pretty thorough and it prevents, I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
Have you looked at our ordinance? Have you looked at the tree ordinance?
Yeah, there are three of them doesn't stop.
Yeah, we are the number, well, to the tree board, we haven't started to run.
And it says about it. And if you want a good exercise, look through our ordinances and look for things that pertain to noise and noise damage.
We talked about that at the council meeting, just because, yes, noise, there's certain things. There is, but I mean, we talked about even fireworks and Chief told me that, it's governed by state statute because as it stands right now, around the 4th of July, we have 10 days of fireworks that are allowed.
Yeah, but it doesn't say anything about 355 acres. Doesn't prevent anything.
It gives you it gives you the days you can do it, but then
Fireworks is not except for those 10 days.
and then New Year's and there's something,
And, you know, unfortunately, I was never in the service, but I can tell the difference. We even had gunfire on the New Year's. So you could hear it, but I don't know what you stop that.
Speaking of violations, anybody have any concerns about the house on Chesterton when you go around the bend and you go down the hill and there's a house up on the hill and when the trees have no leaves, you see their boat in the backyard? Looks like hell. They dump stuff over the hill.
Oh, yes.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, you seen the boat up there? Yeah, you go down the hill, around the corner, down the hill, and you look to your right. There's the boat sitting up there. I don't think we lost that.
Yeah, they have it in the back.
We don't let them, I don't think we allow boats on yards at all.
Yeah, they changed it. I just saw it. It's
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
In the backyard?
yes.
Really? Okay.
did a job for Carter,
What's that?
did a job for Carter.
He's gonna quit.
And Anita, I know that Chief sends around, because they take different areas too, and they go and actually, they try to give them a friendly reminder first. So it might be one to suggest to them too, next time they're in that area.
I have one last one.
One more thing is, maybe later tomorrow, that is 2,800 golf lane. Somebody has swept all the leaves from that years on that golf lane. It's years. Because I was coming back to they know that they can see it, and then it's there, and they immediately shot over it.
You know who mentioned it to me first? The guys on the golf course. They're like, what's going on over there? This is 2,800 bell plane. It's not.
Spanish. I mean, it's trying to sell.
Because they asked me if the country, like, when is our legal pickup? Because these are all of a sudden all over this place.
One more thing. I don't even know if this is required, but I'm gonna ask you guys. We, with Carter, we're finding a lot of violations in what have you. But, you know, our normal procedure is to print, have Honor print off a red stop work order. What I'd like to do, Carter also needs some green tags for plumbing inspections and things. I don't know if we have to vote on it, I guess, no, we need to order some of that. Can we just do that, or?
Just talk tomorrow.
Okay.
Put garbage can stickers on it.
We didn't tell Carter stuff. Speaking of West Woods, that's the badges.
Carter and I have.
Well, we don't.
What did Chris say? Chris just said, Dr. Mark. Any other, commission comments? Any public comment?
Hi. I'm the landscaper for the 3007 Moore Road project. And we've been getting our directive from the homeowner's property manager, and you know, I think there's been some confusion on their end about what would meet the regulations and everything. So I'm just trying to clarify that a little bit. I understand now, I think, the coverage, the 70, that the property is currently, I think you said it like 70 or 80% coverage. So my question, I just have a few, but my questions are for that 35% rule, would like decorative boulders in the landscaping fall in that?
Yes. Unfortunately, I didn't get your first name.
Michael.
Unfortunately, Michael, that property was annexed into the town of Long Beach. So when it was annexed, and I'm not a lawyer, I could ask Chris, I think I already did. So that property now has to conform to the rules of the town.
Right.
So the 35%, the problem with that property is, even if you took everything off of that little green area, you'd still be over. So the large rock, right, the large rocks and all that stuff, we can't approve that at this point because it's over the coverage. So really no other hardscape, boulders, stepping stones, anything can go onto the property. I mean, if you want to meet, if somebody wants to meet with Carter and I there.
Unless it's truly replacing something that's there, they want to put brush cutting, so that's.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
That's the other option. The other option is, you can, on a non-conforming property, let's say you're at 73% coverage there. If you could figure out a way to do what you want to do and make it so it's 72% coverage, you're reducing the non-conformity by taking some other hardscape out, you can do that. We can approve that at our level.
Okay. I see. That helps. And then this question may seem a little silly, but like if we were to add not boulders, but just like river rock, as a ground cover in a landscaping bed, does that affect the 35 or the cover, the 70% coverage now, or is that different since it's permeable?
No, that would be considered coverage. Gravel, stone, rock, yeah, that would be considered.
Okay, got it. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys answering my questions. That certainly clears some things up for me.
Okay. Any other public comment? Being done.
Motion to adjourn.
Bob, second. Third. All those in favor?
Aye.
Same sign. Thanks, everyone.
We'll take care.